Yes, Cody, how are we doing, my friend? Nice to see
Hi guys,
you.
how you doing?
Yeah, look, I've got a smile on my face. We've got 3 points, aggressive performance, attacking football. Did you like what you saw on the pitch today?
Hey, we can play football. We can actually play
Can
football.
we? Apparently.
We can keep
can
possession.
score.
We can get shots towards target. We can get shots on target. You know, I don't know. It was really hard to picture us winning today after the last 3 results in the Premier League, especially laying a big fat egg at the Emirates last week. So like in the context of the momentum of the season, today was massive going into an international break to go out there and have an aggressive performance and one which we played with a lot less fear. And there has to be a lot of pressure on these guys right now, especially the manager as well. You know, there's been a lot of people calling for Nuno to be sacked already, and he definitely needed to get a result today. And we got 3 points, so you have to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we deserve the win overall? Obviously, Villa started quite strong, but we grew into the game. Højbjerg got his goal. We got pegged back by Villa, but we didn't let our heads drop, did we, when we went 1-1? We got an instant reaction, which was positive to see, wasn't it?
I thought we should have won comfortably, 4-1 maybe. You know, Son probably should have had a hat trick. You know,
Yeah.
He had a lot of gilt edge, clear cut chances that, and you know, Kane as well was a little bit wasteful. And there was that one play where Ndombele got the flick in behind, and his first touch was so poor.
Yeah.
I mean, and like Lo Celso too. That one play where Kane back-heeled it to him, and then he's just passing it.
Oh, I was screaming at the TV at that one. I was like, just kill the game.
Yeah, but listen, it would have been really easy for a team in a fragile state of mind to roll over once we conceded that equalizer. And we didn't do that. You know, we took the game by the scruff of the neck again, and you know, maybe we were a little bit fortunate to get such an easy goal in transition so shortly after they had equalized. But from then on out, you know, Villa, they really hardly had a sniff. And especially I was impressed with how we handled injury time. You know, the ball was basically
Brilliant.
Completely locked in the Aston Villa side of the pitch for the last 5 minutes. And it was comfortable the way that we saw it out. And that's maybe something that we're not used to going back to last year.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I was impressed as well when at 2-1, maybe last year we would have sat back on that result and try and grind out the win, but we went for more goals and more chances, and we should have had it in those last 20 minutes and another 2 goals at least if it wasn't for us being wasteful in front of goals. So it was nice for us being brave, and it was nice for us pressing really hard on the pitch even late in the game, which was really positive to see. What do you think were the big changes? Maybe obviously. It's night and day from last week against Arsenal, but in terms of the approach today with Skip back in midfield, adding that extra bit of bite, and maybe Emerson or the right back who looked a lot more comfortable on the ball than maybe Tanganga has so far. Like, what in the team or team wise, maybe individually wise, who impressed you?
Well, I thought I think despite being maybe not fully at fault for the goal, I thought Christian Romero made his presence felt. He was very aggressive. He was pressing quite well. His headed clearances were excellent. Good height, good power, and he seemed to be kind of always in the right place at the right time, even on set pieces and whatnot. I think having him at the back made a huge difference today. And I don't want to pick on players, but I think dropping Dele Alli made a huge difference. We saw on Thursday, he was given the captain's armband, and then he was hauled off after about 60 minutes, and he had a little bit of a strop, and I think he could probably tell that this was going to end up happening. And look, I'll always love Dele Alli, but I think it's about time that he was dropped, and I'm not even sure if I would be comfortable starting him in the Conference League at this point, considering the disaster class that he just laid on Thursday. But yeah, Emerson, I thought. You could put him in there as a good shout for man of the match. I thought he was getting forward quite well and quite consistently and providing a good option there. He had a couple of plays that he made where he created some good chances. Sonny blasted one over the bar off an Emerson cross. He had a good shot on target, forced a decent save from Martinez. And when he was when we did lose possession and he was exposed, he got back well. I thought he answered a lot of his critics today, which I don't understand why he would even have a lot of critics at this point
after 2 games,
in his Tottenham career, because people are looking at his body of work in La Liga and making comparisons. It takes time to adapt to a new league, and I think Emerson is showing good adaptation and good progression. And I could count probably at least 10 individual defensive plays that he made, and he made quite well today. So yeah, he would be a good shout for man of the match, along with Højbjerg and Heung-min Son.
Yeah, Sonny was brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely outstanding. Do you think Højbjerg was helped, having Skip next to him, maybe give him not only people, because I think it wasn't just license to go forward, which we're obviously getting the goal and that helped him, but I think it's more, even license to press forward, press teams even higher, because I feel like when Højbjerg doesn't have that protection with him, he's stuck so deep all the time, and when he's pressing, he can get overrun, he's pressing in deeper situations, but having Skip next to him allows him a bit more confidence when he's approaching maybe a defender or a midfielder in a deeper position in the opposition's half, because he knows Skip's there protecting him behind him if they do beat that press.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to see Højbjerg get on the score sheet with a really well taken goal, like not trying to overpower it, just placing it, kind of passing it into that back corner. And Skippy's presence. Listen, I think if you look at the two performances going back to last week at the Emirates and comparing that today, I mean, it's night and day, the foothold that we had in the midfield, and Skippy has a lot to do with that, providing that kind of safety blanket, not only for Højbjerg to be able to be aggressive and do what he does best in kind of cleaning up the garbage and making interceptions and providing pressure on their midfield, but also being that midfielder who can drop in behind when a center back gets caught out like Dyer. Skippy made a few plays in the box today. I thought he was really well. He did really well, and there's just so much more balance. So much more balance than having that midfield. I mean, it just looks atrocious on Nuno for putting out a midfield of Højbjerg and Ndombele and Dele last week. I mean, way more balanced today. I mean, look, when the lineups came out and you saw the formations that were being played, I think that was probably the first thing that would go through most Tottenham fans' minds. The alarm bells would be ringing off about, Aston Villa playing a 3-5-2. Are we going to get overrun in the midfield again? What's going to happen here? But give credit to those players for bouncing back from a very poor performance last week and putting in a good shift today.
Yeah. And in terms of a couple negatives maybe in personnel, but a lot of people criticising Ndombele and Harry Kane for their performances today. What was your assessment on those two?
Oh, I mean, it's 7 games now, no goals for Kane in the Premier League. He's just kind of on the wrong side of the inch right now, and he's pressing. He's pressing for that goal because like nobody likes to be criticized, nobody likes to have their commitment questioned, and he's brought all those kind of questions on himself with what went on in the summer. So I'm not defending him, but he just needs to get on the score sheet because he's just pressing that little bit, But do
you think he was more involved today than maybe in the past 5 games?
He was more involved today, but when you look at the relationship between him and Son going forward, it really feels like they've gone from what at this time last year was clearly last year, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, that's an absolute anomaly what they were doing together. But they really have lacked that chemistry. They've gone from having what seemed to be a telepathic relationship to not speaking the same language, so to speak, not looking for one another, not knowing where each other are going to be. And I don't know if that is a product of a change in management, if there's just some growing pains that are being had right now. I don't know if there is a fracture in the relationship between the two players. It's really hard to say, but I think once Kane breaks the egg, he'll be fine. But he just needs to get that one over the line, which is, I mean, it's really kind of shocking that he hasn't got on the score sheet yet. But he wasn't as bad as people are saying.
No, yeah, that's why I think everyone's. I've seen a lot of criticism for Kane. I don't think it was great, but another day that back heel for Lo Celso. Lo Celso should have buried that. He had a great ball for Son, where Son put it just wide, right in front of goal. There's he could have had 2 assists and he could have had a goal if things were on a different day. And I just think it was an improvement on what we had seen previously. But let's move on from Kane. When you look at Tongi. He got taken off on 17 minutes for Lo Celso. What did you make of Tongi's performance? He's kind of blown hot and cold so far this season, but do you think he deserved? Do you think he should have lasted as long as he did really today? Or how do you think he was playing?
Oh man, I feel like he was working hard for the team. He might be the worst aerial defender that I've ever seen in professional football. Like, he's an absolute zero in the air, it was nice to see him get played a little bit further up the pitch, although it didn't really translate today. I feel like usually what I'm used to seeing from Ndombele is, a lack of work rate, but brilliance on the ball and brilliance in possession, brilliance playing through balls, brilliance, on the offensive side. But it seemed like, okay, his work rate was all right, but he was kind of getting lost. And that one play where he got played in and he was all alone and his first touch was just a little heavy and angled the ball in towards the defense. That would probably be a good way to that would be like a little bit of a microcosm of what happened with Tongi today. I'm not sure if he's done much to solidify his place in the team. I'm not sure. That would be one area that we could have improved for sure, is in that number 10 spot, whether it be moving Lucas centrally if Bergwijn comes back healthy after the international break, whether it be giving Brian Hill a chance to play in that number 10 spot. Who knows? Lo Celso could also provide some options there as well, but he's just such a frustrating player, and I'm really trying hard not to look at it through the lens of his price tag and his salary, his weekly wage and whatnot. But we simply aren't getting enough out of a player who it's just coming to a point now where he's not going to come good, is he? I don't know how much more time we can give him and defend him and say, yeah, we just need to give him the right frame of mind. Just doesn't look like it's happening for him at Spurs, but he
had. He had an off day, but I agree with you. He was trying, and hopefully, if he keeps putting in a similar amount of effort, then it can go right. I just felt like his touch was all over the place today. Even that moment you talked about when he broke down the left-hand side, he took a heavy touch. That was very frustrating. But I actually thought, not going off then, Ndombele, his substitute Lo Celso had a decent cameo when he came on. He looked pretty lively for those final 20 minutes, and I know he should have scored, but I actually thought his cameo was decent. So maybe he could be someone coming in.
He should have scored, yeah.
It seems like we've got a nucleus of players in this squad right now that when they do get a chance to put a shot on net and test the goalkeeper, they have a really hard time hitting the net, whether it's Bergwijn or Lo Celso or even Kane right now or Lucas. We've just got so many players who, when they get into that position where it's a big chance, they're squandering it. We created 3 big chances today and we missed all 3 of them. So, it's really.
Do you know what?
I don't know what Lo Celso was doing.
I think there's silver lining in that, because the fact that we're creating these chances, I take a lot of hope from that, and faith from that, because we opened up Villa a few times today. You mentioned the 3 big chances there, and obviously you talk about the goals as well. And isn't it nice to see us actually open up a Premier League team time and time again? And yes, we're not taking the chances, and football's about winning the game. It doesn't matter how many chances you have sometimes. You just got to win the game. We saw that with Jose last year. We'd have a couple of chances and we'd take them. But are you hopeful now going into Newcastle, Everton and United? And obviously you've got a European fixture as well. Would you stay with this same team, Cody? Do you think this formula should stay as it is going into that Newcastle game? Or would you change it up in any way?
If I was going to change it up, if we end up with a fully healthy squad, I think I would move Lucas into the number 10 and play Steven Bergwijn out front, just because Lucas, he really showed that he could be a very strong player in the middle of the pitch, and him and Kane last season, especially in the month of March, when Jose first moved Lucas more centrally, they had a nice little thing going where they were able to progress the ball and play some nice 1-2s and feed off one another that way. So I just don't think that Tanguy offers enough consistency at this point, and I it's tough because you wonder if he could just if you give Tanguy another couple of games starting and get his I don't even know if it's a fitness issue anymore, but if there was ever going to be a chance of a breakthrough, then it would be worth it. But he's just hasn't really given enough reason to justify his position in the team, you know. And so if we did end up with a fully healthy squad, I think that would be the only change that I would look.
Do you
to
think
make.
with these changes? So we saw it with Mourinho last season, constantly changing the centre back pairing. They couldn't form, partnerships over the long run. I believe a winning football team has lots of little partnerships down the wings, in the centre, whether it's Pierre and Skip, Romero and Dyer, Emerson and Lucas Moura. Do you think that Dele Alli had quite a long time, quite a few games in that position, and now he's been pulled out? Tangai's gone into that position. We've won the game. He hasn't set the world alight with his performance. How much does chopping and changing affect the likes of Kane and Son? Because how are we going to create that telepathy without having some consistency? Because constant chopping and changing systems and formations, the top teams don't always do that. And I just worry that if we keep going throughout the season without staying true to one style of play and one system and the selection being consistent, I worry that, chop and change is not healthy for us. I like the fact the back four has found its feet, and that probably will be the back four moving forward. Tanganga doesn't look like he's going to get his position back at the moment. I like the fact that Pierre and Skip have cemented that position hopefully now. So as the back six sorts itself out, Son takes care of himself. Kane looks like he's going to start again. He had a good game today, I think. How much is chopping and changing? I mean, Nuno's got a difficult job, hasn't he? Because that particular position there seems to be the position that everyone talks about the most, that position behind Kane. You think Moura in there would be a good shout. If Bergwijn's fit, you put him out wide. And I think that's a good shout too. I agree with you. And Moura showed that last season under Jose. In that position, he can create and he can cause damage and he can run on. But my worry is chop and change. But I guess that's why Nuno needs time, right? And that's why a lot of people say, Nuno out. But isn't this the bit where he experiments? Isn't this the bit where he finds out which team is the best team or the first 11? I mean, are you on for Nuno having more time, or do you think this was have you been Nuno out, or where do you sit with the whole Nuno thing?
Well, firstly, in terms of the chopping and changing, I think that's something that is dependent upon the results. If you're losing matches like we've seen, and you're having not just losing, but having capitulations like we've seen in the Premier League the last 3 games, that forces the manager's hand. You don't have a choice. Yeah. And I think it exposes the depth of the squad, and especially with us having Thursday night games to play as well, and League Cup matches, Son, Kane, Højbjerg, Lloris, Romero, these guys cannot play every game. If we go down that route like we did last year, we're going to be coming to the end of the season with an exhausted, depleted, injured squad. We're going to be sitting with no cups, and we're probably going to be looking at 7th or worse in the Premier League. So it is about trying to strike the perfect balance in putting out a team that's strong enough to get the job done, but also maintaining those partnerships that you speak of. As far as Nuno, look, I don't think anybody in their right mind would have wanted to sack Jose Mourinho and knowing that we would bring in Nuno. But I don't think that Nuno is the answer for Spurs right now, but you can't treat managers, you can't treat people, you can't run your business that way where you give a manager 6 games to figure something out that is clearly, so riddled with problems. It would just be so unfair to Nuno, and I think it would hurt us in terms of who we want to appoint as our next manager. If you're sitting there and you're a Gallardo or you're a Ten Hag or a Potter or even like a Thomas Frank, who I think would be a decent shout, and you see Nuno get shown the door after 6 Premier League matches, well, I don't think it would be a particularly attractive position for me to come in. Like, it's one thing, it's a big job, and we're in a bit of a bad way. You have to give them a little bit more time, that's for sure. Listen, if we get to Christmas and we're seeing a lot of results like we saw in September, then questions they need to be asked, that's for sure. But for right now, I mean, you can't afford to, because Nuno is a bridge manager. He's the manager who's meant to get us to the next guy, and that next guy isn't ready right now. And sacking Nuno doesn't do much to attract that next manager either. So I think for now you have to just let Nuno go. And if the deficiencies of the squad result in us having a poor season, that's the way it is. The reality is there's a lot of deadwood in this squad still, despite the relative clear out that we had in the summer. I thought we did a good job moving on players that needed to go for various reasons. But some of the players that we moved on are Premier League capable players, and we haven't replaced them with Premier League capable players. So it's not exactly fair to be expecting Nuno to wave a magic wand over this squad that is weaker in my mind than it was last year, especially attacking wise, and just get us into the top 4 or into the top 6. I think a little bit of patience needs to be exercised at this point. But I don't begrudge anybody for wanting Nuno out, because I don't think he was on anybody's radar as a proper choice, a top manager for this job.
Pochettino wasn't on many people's radar, was he? And he had a difficult start. But yeah, completely accept your point on time. And we're 2 points off third at the moment. If Man City and Liverpool draw, going 2 points off third into the second international, Brett, I think most people would have taken that.
Probably, but yeah, it's so tight anyway. Cody, always great to see you and to speak to you as always after every Spurs game. Nice to see you as always, especially after a win. And we'll see you again soon.